What's up, guys? So I was asked to write an article for liftedimports.com about some of like my top tire picks just when it comes to Subarus and taking them off-road. So from all-terrains to mud terrains, just some of the tires that I recommend based on what's available and just what fits our cars well. Not everything comes in the right sizes for Subarus, but everything I'm going to talk about in this video is available in a size that will fit almost all lifted Subarus that are going to be taken off-road. I'm going to go over just some different options, and I want you to keep in mind that what I'm doing here is not telling you which tires are the best and which, I'm not ranking these in order. I'm simply trying to lay out for you what's available, because when I first got into this, I didn't really know where to look. I didn't really know what my options were. I wasn't very educated on tires. I just kind of stumbled through it and had to do a lot of research on forums and things like that in order to figure out what I wanted. If you're like me, I enjoy watching videos, but I also really like having articles laid out for me in written form. And if that's you, I do also have the link for the article that I wrote that has all this listed out for you, so that you don't have to like scrub through this video and find what you're looking for. But with that being said, I'm just going to get started. Again, this isn't specific to any one model of Subaru. This is just kind of an overview of what's out there that is going to generally fit most lifted Subarus. The first tire that I'd like to talk about is just the Falcon Wild Peak AT3W. I really like this tire because it is affordable, so it's not going to cost you a ton of money. It's available in almost all the sizes that people who are driving lifted Subarus want. So like if you want a 235 75 15, they've got that. If you want a 215 75 15, or if you want them in sizes that fit like stock Subaru wheels, they've got a lot of the different stuff available. I like this tire because it is a little bit more lightweight than a lot of other all-terrain tires. And again, this is an all-terrain, so it's not going to be as gnarly as like a mud terrain, but it's going to be aggressive enough to do a lot of trail driving that is mainly dirt, gravel, and then some minor rocks. If you're trying to do snow wheeling and you need to climb up, you know, slick boulders and things like that, this isn't really the tire for that. You need to jump up to a mud terrain. But I really like that this tire has somewhat of an aggressive sidewall pattern. So the lugs kind of come down around the edges of the tire and give a little bit more protection and a little bit more grip. So if you're in mud, snow, things like that, those that sidewall pattern actually assists with giving you some grip. In my opinion, it's probably the best tire for the money when it comes to all terrains. It is 3-peak mountain snowflake rated, so it does meet the requirements for winter usage. It's not going to replace a dedicated winter tire, but if you get stuck somewhere where the temperature drops and you're driving on snow or just in icy conditions, they're not going to freeze up like a lot of other tires, because the compound is made to kind of handle that. The second tire that I'd like to talk about is the Cooper Discoverer AT3. This is a tire that I would recommend for somebody that wants to drive forest roads and needs that extra protection of an all-terrain tire, but doesn't want something that's really going to affect their on-road manners. So if you do a lot of commuting in your Subaru and you just need the option to be able to go off-road, the Discoverer is a great tire. It's very mild, so people that are looking for something that's a little bit more hardcore for off-road trails, it's probably not the best tire. But I mean, I have seen people use them off-road and done okay, but in my opinion, it's great for somebody that needs to do a daily driving and recreation split with their Subaru. They're not terribly expensive, and I've heard good things about the tread life on them. That's going to kind of depend on how you drive them and what kind of trails you're hitting. And then we've got the Toyo Open Country AT3. I've owned the AT2s. I'm a big fan of what Toyo's doing. I've run their tires. I've run street tires that they make on some of my other cars. They just make good tires all around, especially for the price. And I really like this tire because it's got a really nice tread pattern on it that is capable of giving you somewhat of a less noisy ride, but also gripping really well on gravel, dirt, and real mild snow. Everybody that I've talked to that has run this tire has been pretty impressed with it. I think it's going to be great for somebody that wants to step up from, say, a tire like the Discoverer. It's a little bit more aggressive than that, but still has great on-road manners, and they last for a long time. I was impressed with my AT2s. They seem to hold up pretty well. A lot of the Toyota guys run these, and they just, like I said, I've just never heard anything bad about them. Of course, there's always going to be people that like and dislike certain things, or there's going to be people that have bad experiences, but overall, I think it's a great tire. It's available in a ton of sizes. If you own a Crosstrek, they've got a bunch of tires that you can fit on that, whether you're going with stock wheels or if you're sizing down and running an aftermarket wheel. There's tons of options for them. I had them in a 215/75/15 and loved them, and that was the AT2. The AT3 is the same story. They've got all that stuff, and they're really not that expensive for what they are when you compare them to some of the other options that are out there. And then we've got the Hankook Donna Pro. This tire, not a lot of people run them, but it is a pretty solid tire. I've heard that they do specifically well in wet conditions. I've never personally owned this tire, but from everybody that I've talked to and a lot of the stuff that I've read, it's a really great mild all-terrain. Like I said, does well in wet conditions and on dirt roads. So if you want something that's not terribly expensive, and again, this one's also available in a ton of different sizes, it's a great option. A guy that I know, Jesse, his name's I'm a Banana 1994 or something like that on Instagram. Shout out to the homie. I probably got his Instagram wrong, but he ran these for a long time on his Crosstrek in a 235/75/15, and he took them in sand and dirt, all sorts of stuff, and he seemed to really like them. That's actually what made me want to put that tire in this list. So check them out. Hankook sometimes runs promotions on their tires as well if you check with like Tire Rack or Discount Tire Direct. And then we've got the BFG KO2 is going to be the next tire that you'll want to look at. Now this tire, you're going to hear so much just different information on this tire. You're going to hear people say, oh, they're too heavy. Then you're going to hear other people say, oh, it's the toughest tire I've ever run. You're going to have other people say, oh, it's the worst tire I've ever run. They wore out so fast, and it's so hard to kind of sift through all that info. But from what I've seen, the BFG KO2, it is a truck tire, so it's not available in P load range, like in passenger load ranges. It's an LT tire only in the sizes that you're going to want for Subarus. So the upside of that is it's extra tough and it's extra thick and got a really heavy carcass. The downside of that is they're extra tough and they got a heavy carcass. When you're dealing with a Subaru, the majority of people are probably not going to take their car on trails that are hardcore enough to really even extract the value out of this tire. and it's heavy. So with Subarus, we don't have a low range option. Like, we don't have 4 low. Like, we're stuck with what we've got from the transmission. That's all we have, and our gearing's not that great for running larger tires. You can't really re-gear Subarus the way that you can like a Toyota or a Jeep and things like that. So you kind of have to be careful how much weight you add. And because it's an LT tire and because they're so thick, you're gonna pay more. So this is just my opinion, but for the average Subaru driver, it's probably not worth it to put such a heavy duty tire on your car. It might be best to go with something that's 2, 3, 4, 5 pounds lighter and gonna save you a couple bucks. Again, this is just my opinion, but you kind of have to be strategic with Subarus and how you mod them and what parts you select, because it's just territory that not a lot of people have kind of gotten into. At least when you compare it to Jeeps and things like that, there's just a lot of support available for those platforms. So that's my opinion. If you're doing hardcore trails and you really are beating up the car and you're taking it on trails that have real sharp rocks and things like that, the KO2 is probably a great tire, but it's probably not optimal for the average person that's still got to do commuting and daily driving in their Subaru. So just keep that in mind. And if that's you, maybe look for something a little bit lighter, and you can save a few bucks and put that towards other mods like skid plates or things of that nature. Next, I'm going to talk about some mud terrains. Up to this point, I've only mentioned all-terrains, and I'd like to just mention some mud terrains because there are people like myself who really do beat the crap out of our Subarus. A mud terrain is a great tire if you really are going to be doing technical terrain and advanced trails and just pretty much using your car for almost nothing besides trail driving, and that's what I do. I use mine for almost nothing but going out on trails and going out to the forest. So running a mud terrain makes a little more sense for me. And my first pick for mud terrains are going to be the ccelera MT01s. The main reason being that they're super affordable. That's why I bought them, is because they were super affordable, and I really liked the sidewall pattern. I thought they looked good and looked aggressive enough to really grip, and they have a tread pattern that's real similar to the Yokohama Geolander mud terrain, which in my opinion is a fantastic tire. But these, they cost a lot less than the Geolanders, and once I put them on the car, I couldn't believe how well they performed. That's actually what I got on this car right here. I'm running this tire. Like I said, I bought them because they looked like they would perform well and because they were affordable, but once I put them on, my mind was completely changed. I was like, okay, this is like one of the best mud terrains I've ever run. Like, I took them out on a snow wheeling trip. That's what I bought them for. I bought them in a pinch and took them out onto some trails for some snow wheeling, like a couple days after I bought them. And I couldn't believe how much easier the car ripped through deep snow. And I think a huge part of that is the sidewall is so aggressive and the lettering sticks out a good almost 1/4 inch, to the point where even the lettering and the logo sticks out and grabs. Well, when I was in the middle of talking about the ccelera MT01, my camera shut off because it's been really hot, and apparently it overheated. As I was saying, the ccelera MT01, it really grips in every situation that I've had it in, and I just really appreciate that I didn't have to spend an arm and a leg for those tires. The prices are always changing, but for example, let me take a look here. I bought them in the 235/75, and if you go on PriorityTire.com, they're only $110 a piece. Like, that's unheard of for a good set of mud terrains. Love them. So if you're the type of person that doesn't really care about road noise and you are running trails a lot, this is a fantastic tire. Not great for the daily driver, not great for somebody that's sensitive to road noise, but if you are ripping trails, these are great. So the next tire that I'm going to talk about is another mud terrain, and that's going to be the BF Goodrich KM3. Now the KM3, again, not going to be great if you are doing any kind of commuting in your car. If you're going to drive your car a lot on a daily basis, it's probably not the best tire for you. Okay, this is, again, going to be a fantastic tire for somebody that's got a Subaru or a different car that is like strictly for trails. The reason being is, again, they're really heavy and loud, and they only come in a light truck load range, so you're not going to be able to get some lightweight version that's better for passenger cars. Now this is going to be a premium tire. I currently have a set of these on one of my other cars. I got them on my Jeep XJ, and they do really great. They're a fantastic tire. It's hard for me to compare the ccelera MT-01 and the KM3 side by side because I haven't run them on the same vehicle, so it's hard for me to really give you a good comparison that way. But again, this is just kind of about letting you know what's out there. I'm not trying to tell you which one is better than the other, just because it can vary so wildly based on what your preferences are and based on the type of driving that you're doing. Now, if you'll remember, the MT-01 was only about $110 a piece. If you jump up to the KM3, they're a lot more expensive. Now, BF Goodrich, they have a fantastic warranty. They take care of their customers. It is a tried and true tire that is well engineered. Their quality control is on point. This is going to be a premium mud terrain. It's going to be a premium option. They're not playing around. So if you want a set of these, an apples to apples comparison in the 235/75/15, this tire is going to be $240 a piece. Now, they're more than double what I paid for my ccelera MT-01s. It is a better tire, but you just need to kind of figure out how much you value the brand name and just the reputation of a set of BF Goodriches. Now, if you got a ton of money, who cares? Go buy them and rip with it. But I know a lot of people are budget conscious. So those are my two top picks for mud terrains, and that's going to kind of close out what I have to say about just some of the best tires for Subarus. But I did want to mention, a lot of people are going to be like, okay, well, but what about this tire? What about that tire? And the reality is there's a lot more stuff available than what I talked about. But the last thing I want to do is just give you a list of everything that's out there, because it's just a little bit overwhelming. I like to select and curate things that I think are going to be of value to people and that are just going to kind of help people make a decision rather than just add to the clutter that is going to go through your mind as you start shopping for tires. One mention that I'll bring up is the Yokohama Geolander Geo15, which is their all-terrain. The Geolander AT, it's a great tire, and I've owned them and I really liked them. They had great on-road manners and they were pretty durable considering everything that I did in them. But I felt like I paid a lot of money for them compared to other stuff that was out there. It's a very mild all-terrain. It looks really good for a mild all-terrain. It's great for daily driving, but I felt like options like the Cooper Discoverer and the Toyo Open Country. I felt like those tires were a little bit more affordable for most people, and that's why I didn't include them in this, but you're welcome to go check those out. It's a great tire. So I just, again, I hope that this kind of helps point you in the right direction, gives you some oversight as to what's available and what's out there. Again, if you want links to all these different tires and you'd like to kind of read a little bit more about it, I'm kind of a visual person. I like to read articles and things like that when I'm researching a purchase. If that's you, you can jump over to the Lifted Imports article that I wrote. All those links will be in there, and you can kind of digest this stuff a little bit more easily on that page. But yeah, I'll put a link there for you. If this is helpful for you, just hit it with a thumbs up so that I kind of know it's helping people. And if you've got more questions, I don't know that I'll be able to answer everything, but I'll figure out what I can for you. So hit the comment section if there's specific tires that you're curious about, or if there's other questions related to off-roading in a Subaru that you've got, just so that I kind of know what people need and what info is not readily available out there. Because when I got into this, there wasn't a lot out there. I started in 2013, 2014, something like that, and there just wasn't a lot of info. You know, there were lift kit manufacturers out there, but they weren't doing a lot of marketing, and I just had to piece together a Forester suspension and stuff it into the Legacy that I was taking off-road. So I hope that this just makes the process a little bit easier for you, and once you get your stuff built, I'd love to see it. So hit the comments with your builds once you're finished with them so I can check them out. But talk to you guys soon. Get out there and hit some trails.